beautiful Monday, November 26th. Can you believe we're at the last Monday of November already? This is that Black Monday, you know, the Cyber Monday, where everyone's supposed to go online and buy all sorts of neat stuff online. But we don't want you to do that yet. We have a very special encore presentation to help you stay in shape. So sit back. We have Sheri Nidifer, our Wellness Center nurse practitioner, or Dr. Sheri as she's known among the staff. And we have Cindy Underwood, our dietitian, who's going to come on the show and talk to us all about how to stay healthy, how to stay fit, how to eat right during the next few weeks, because you all know, as I do, there's lots of food temptations out there. So sit back, wait on that cyber stuff, and watch a wonderful Village in Motion. We have a great show for you today, just in time for the holidays that are upon us. So don't be going online and doing any of your cyber shopping today, which is, what, isn't it Black Monday? Is that called this Black Monday? Or Cyber Monday. It is Monday, November 29th, the last Monday of November. Can you believe that? So let me introduce to you who's going to help us with tips for getting us set for the holidays and avoiding that, what is it, extra 10, 15 pounds that some of us may be gaining. Hopefully not myself. So with us is Sheri. I'm going to blow your last name. Nidifer. Why do I always have that trouble?
It's hard.
Because it's a hard last name, that's right. Anyway, our nurse practitioner here at Green Spring. Next to her is Cindy Underwood from RG, who's our dietitian. And unfortunately, Juanita Coons couldn't join us today because she's a little under the weather. Probably had too much stuffing and turkey. So, at least I think I did. Let's start with you, Sheri. Now, seriously, in all seriousness, this time between Thanksgiving and the start of the new year is the time that Americans really go crazy when it comes to their health and nutrition, and they do tend to gain weight during this time.
Sure.
Is it because of the extra stress, or?
I think there's a lot of issues with it. Stress certainly is one of them. But you know, we all try to be healthy through the whole year, and then you get to November and you think, well, we'll just have a big Thanksgiving dinner, and I'll start my New Year's resolutions in January. So December is kind of the month where we just kind of, you know, we're shopping for presents and having gatherings with family members, and we don't always think about all those things that we've done throughout the whole year. We might as well do it for 30 more days.
And in preparing for this show, I read this quote. Someone said, you know, people tend to think about what they're doing between now and the new year, what we're eating between now and the new year, but they forget that we really should be concentrating from the new year through Christmas in terms of what we should be doing to keep ourselves healthy.
Right.
So let's start with some of the tips that you've brought for us and to keep us going strong into the new year, so that when we start January 1st, we're not looking at the scale going, oh my God, what did I do?
Well, I put together some health and safety tips because I think it all kind of goes together. And the first thing we need to do is everybody needs to get their flu shot. We still have flu shots available for employees and residents at Green Spring, and that's the number one thing we can do to protect ourselves, to protect each other, and protect our family members.
So why the flu shot, though? I mean, in terms of the number one thing.
Well, because it can be so devastating. We lose over 3,900 people each year to the flu, and you know, death is a really big side effect that happens. In Virginia right now, the Physicians Weekly puts out activity in Virginia. So right now we just have sporadic cases of the flu, but we're expecting in February to get a big onslaught of flu activity. So the flu vaccine this year actually covers the H1N1, which was last year, along with the regular seasonal flu.
Okay, so we need to get our flu shot.
You need to get your flu shot. And of course, the number two thing I have, which really kind of fits right into number one, is to wash your hands often. So we kind of take that for granted, but we really need to just wash our hands before we see someone and after we see someone, before we handle food. Cindy can speak to that, after we're handling food, and that'll prevent the spread of disease.
And by washing our hands, we're not just talking about, okay, I'll put it in the water and dry my hands, right?
I'm talking about soap and water. A lot of people, you know, they want to take the time to wash their hands. You should really put your hands under water for about 20 seconds and create a really good foam with your hands washing them. And a really good way to do that is to do your ABCs while you're washing your hands. By the time you're done with doing your ABCs, then you have a good hand washing technique.
See, I always sing happy birthday to
Happy
myself.
birthday will work too. Every day's a happy birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday will work.
Okay.
Another thing that you can do to boost your immunity is exercise. And a lot of people, since we are so busy during the holiday season, we ignore the amount of exercise that we really need to get. And that will help us boost our immunity. And even if we're in the middle of a moderate illness, we can still take that walk. It will help us recover more quickly. And so we want to keep our residents healthy this holiday season.
And I know it's kind of a misnomer. Some people think, well, I have a cold, I'm not going to go to the gym, or I'm not going to take a swim because it's just going to make it worse. But as Cindy says, it's really will help you.
And studies show that if you have a pretty severe respiratory infection, you should stay home. It will delay your recovery. But if it's just something, just a head cold or a stuffy nose, you can guarantee that exercising will actually make you recover more quickly.
Okay, so we've got the flu shot, we've washed our hands. What else can we do to keep healthy?
Stay warm. I think that even comes in even today, because it's quite chilly as I was walking over here. Dress warm and in layers so that you can layer off, but you can keep clothes on. Some of the neat tips I had was to just be ready for the bad weather, for emergency weather. So you want to keep an emergency kit maybe on hand, that you have battery operated devices, and I know Green Spring does a lot of this for our residents. Flashlights and first aid kits and extra medicine that you might need in case you get sick when you need some help. And even for your car, you want to prepare your car. You want to have blankets in the car, you want to have some food and some bottled water in the car, flashlights again for those for the battery powered radios, first aid kit. Those are really nice things to have in the car to be ready, because you never know when you're going to be stranded. Last year we had an unbelievable amount of snow. There were cars stranded
Wasn't
everywhere.
That fun? I had a great one.
But if you were stuck in the car, it would have been nice to have a couple blankets just to be ready.
And I find chocolate is a good thing to keep in the car. Chocolate, well, any kind, but chocolate, granola bars, any kind of something that's going to sustain you if you do get stranded in your car. And I also keep a small shovel.
Yes.
That I got for my son way back when, and it's a great shovel to keep in the car if I need to dig myself out.
Or even kitty litter, because kitty litter can cause some traction, and just throw that underneath your tires. So those are good things to have.
And don't forget the bottled water to keep in your car, because you will need to stay hydrated if you get stranded.
All right, so we got our car ready. Our house is ready. I think the most important thing you said was possibly keeping extra medicine on hand, so that if there's difficulty getting to the pharmacy, or the pharmacy here on campus is closed for some reason, you don't have to be panicking. What else can we do?
Well, I think the other thing we can do is we can manage stress. Yeah. It's not always the easiest thing to do. But I think we can handle stress by even talking about it to maybe our friends or our next door neighbors, and just being able to verbalize that you're feeling a little stressed, and realizing that you're not alone in that everybody's kind of, spinning their wheels this time of year, and that helps. And I think sometimes being prepared if you're going out shopping, a lot of people went out shopping Black Friday. If you just know that it's probably not going to be the best experience in the world, and you go with a positive idea about it, then it doesn't get to you so much.
Or you avoid it, which is what I
Or
did.
you can avoid it.
I went to
yes.
the movies on Friday.
You can avoid it.
So, okay.
And to manage stress, you really have to be careful about what you're fueling your body with. So again, we're very stressed, we're very busy, and that's the time when we grab things that are already prepared, that are frozen, or we grab fast food. And if you're under stress, those are not the things to be putting in your body. Once in a while is okay, but let's be mindful of what we are putting into our body, which will give us just a much better outlook.
So what would you suggest instead of going to that fast food joint?
Well, one thing I like to do is prepare ahead of time. So if I'm going out and I know I have a couple hours of shopping to do, I make a meal, and I cut up apples and I pack raisins and I pack a sandwich and I pack water, and I have it all with me. And you don't have to do that. There are places to go to eat that you really can find healthy choices. But I also don't like to spend a lot of money either. So I'm trying to get to both, bang for my buck in both ways. But you can make healthy choices just because you're out to eat and you love the fettuccine Alfredo at the restaurant where you are. That's not what you have to choose.
You don't like that, Sheri?
Wow.
You can do a pasta with just the red sauce versus the white. Isn't that a healthier alternative?
Right, and make sure it's loaded with veggies so that you're going to get all the phytonutrients that you can, and your vitamin C and your B vitamins. So you want to load your body with the good things, and definitely even take your multivitamin. Don't forget that during the season.
And something that I find in restaurants, especially some that I don't necessarily go, is I'm amazed at what they'll put on the bun that you get. So I think it's important if you tell them, I really don't want anything on my bun, because I was at a place the other day and they had buttered the buns, which I hadn't had something like that happen to me in a while. I was like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I had told them not to put any sauce on it, put that on the side. But then I came with the buttered buns, and I was like, okay. But right. I find, speaking up in a restaurant, people sometimes get a little shy that, they're putting demands, but you're paying for the food, and if
the restaurants are accustomed to that by now. They know that the trend is more health conscious, and they're used to people asking for dressing on the side or a plain roll and not buttered. They know. They're okay.
And they're even putting, even some of the fast food places, faster foods, maybe not necessarily McDonald's, but they're going to a whole wheat bun and choice if you want. And another thing is you could take, instead of, I know we all love those French fries, but a lot of places you can now substitute steamed vegetables for that. So that gives you that extra serving of fruits and vegetables.
Right.
So what else is on your list, Sheri,
My
to share
list
with
would
us?
be, we talked about travel a little bit, but don't drink and drive, and don't let somebody else drink and drive, and to wear your seatbelt. I think that's, for some of us, that's just kind of commonplace. You just get in and click. But a lot of people, I'm always surprised. And I actually pull my car over to the side. My sister is one that doesn't like to put her seatbelt on. And I just pull over and stop. And by now, she's like, don't pull over, I'm putting it on. So, yeah, I really don't go anywhere without it.
And cars have that beeping noise if you don't have your seatbelt on. And my husband ignores it. He just does not hear it. So now I've got the kids in the back seat saying, Daddy, buckle up. So he hears that, but he doesn't hear that alarm. And so it really is important to remind folks to buckle up.
And I also think we need to mention about cell phones when you're driving. Hopefully we've gotten the word out that everyone here should have a cell phone with them when they travel, but driving and talking on the cell phone is something you shouldn't do. If you do get a call, a lot of times I'll get a call and I might just say, I'll call you back, I'm driving, and I'll just put it down, or I'll ignore it completely. But if you need to talk to someone, you just pull off to the side and take that time to talk to them.
That's a really good point. My nephew is all of 16, and he was driving, and he just looked down quickly to read the text from the person that he was going to visit, and ended up in the pole. Totaled the car, which was his sister's car. So that's a whole nother story. But it just takes seconds to get your mind off the road.
And a lot of our jurisdictions, I think Maryland has restricted cell phone use. I know definitely Washington, D.C., you can't be on your cell phone when you drive. Virginia hasn't gotten to that point yet. Or is it a secondary?
It's a secondary if they find, stop you from something else. But they don't have any plans to make that an offense.
Right. And then I think a big one, especially here on campus, is you've mentioned quitting smoking.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. So December 1st, Green Spring will be a smoke-free community. Should be great. So you will see us if you're out and about in the morning from 6:30 to 9:30, and I hear it's supposed to be raining, but we will be out front passing out a little small happy to everybody just to remind them that it's a smoke-free community. And we're very excited about that to make it a healthier place.
And that's included for everyone, staff,
everybody.
residents, visitors.
Everybody.
So that's really neat. We're ahead of the time.
Yes.
Maybe.
We're the first campus to do it in Erickson, and I believe there's other campuses that are going to follow. They're excited to do it. So Green Spring Way, we are the first.
And your last tip was prevent injuries. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think that there's a lot of, we're really hurried this time of year, and you have multiple packages in your hand, and you're crossing the street, and you're not paying attention, and I think we just have to really be careful. There's some putting up decorations. We're not always the safest when we're putting up decorations, so it's good to make sure that the step stools are on a level playing field there, so you can get some.
And that you actually use a step stool instead of that chair. I always use
the chair. The chair with the rollers on the bottom.
That's
yeah.
You were watching me the other day. And I don't want to miss. You did say also get checkups. Why is it important to get checked up?
Well, I think it's important because we can actually screen for many diseases, and we can prevent things from getting bad, or even treat them earlier. And men and women have different needs, and different ages have different needs.
So go see your doctor. Just kind of, it's like that maintenance check
That's
you
that
do
maintenance
for
check.
your car, right?
Right, exactly.
All right, now since Juanita isn't here, I did want to talk a little bit about fitness tips. So I'm going to pretend to be Juanita. Bear with me here, because no one can take her place. But we do have some fitness tips, and Sheri and Cindy, please feel free to kick in with any thoughts you have. The first fitness tip, I think, is to stay hydrated, which Cindy, you've related to that. So once again, why is it so important to stay hydrated?
Hydration is really the key to good health all around, and we focus on it more in the summer because it's easier to get dehydrated because we're outside in the sun. But inside it's just as important, and for our residents who may have a decreased thirst mechanism, and they may not feel thirsty even when they are mildly dehydrated. So this is a year-round key that we have to make sure our residents know to be picking up a glass of water. Iced tea or hot tea is also okay. Water's the best thing. If you're drinking juice, you can cut it with some water to just really boost your water intake.
And how many glasses should we have a day?
Well, 8 is the rule of thumb. That is really
8
not
ounces.
8-ounce glasses. It's not hard and fast. Your physician can tell you because of your medications or your condition whether you need more or less. But if you have not been told anything specific, go with 8-ounce glasses.
And one way to help with our diet during this busy season is if you drink that 8 ounces of water when you sit down to eat, doesn't that kind of help take away that, have that extra piece of whatever?
It takes the edge off, and not just in a false way, but honestly, sometimes what we feel as hunger really is masquerading as it's really thirst. And when we drink that water, we suddenly don't feel as ravenous as we thought that we were 5 minutes ago. That's a great way.
All right, so we're going to stay hydrated, and we need to exercise. Now, one thing we can do to keep exercising is we could cut down our exercise sessions, going from instead of 5 times a week or more, maybe only do 3 times a week if you're feeling that stress that we've talked earlier. I like this one. Walk for lunch. In other words, instead of saying to your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your family, let's go out to lunch, let's take a walk. And walking is always great. Also, when you are shopping, instead of parking your car close to the entrance, if we parked farther away, that gets us an extra walk in there. So walking, taking the stairs instead of the escalator or the elevators. Here's one of my favorites. Check out line stretch. So when you're in that checkout line and you're getting kind of upset because it's taking forever, you can actually start doing some stretches. My sister does Tai Chi, and a lot of times she'll just start doing Tai Chi in the middle of the, on the corner or whatever when she's waiting. And
Does she get people to join in?
I don't think so. I haven't seen that, but why not? And then all you fellas, put down that remote control. Remember the old days when someone had to get up to change the channel? Get up and change the channel. Stop using that remote. And just even these little bits and pieces really add up, don't they, Sheri?
Yes. Oh, yes.
I mean, do you have to really do 30 minutes of continuous exercise?
No. The studies do show you can do, 3 separate 10-minute, exercise. Vacuuming the house counts. And No, don't say that. Okay.
But I did like your idea of, if you can't manage 5 days a week of exercise, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Do 3 days. Somehow fit it into your life 3 days a week. Another way, we were talking about managing stress earlier. You can't manage your stress without some physical activity. So you still have to work that in. Make it fun. Make it something that you enjoy doing, or fit it in creatively with your tips of working out in the line. You could even take your cans and do some bicep curls, whatever you want to do, but keep moving.
In terms of diet, I mean, we kind of skimmed on some of the diet and nutritional facts, but let's face it, we are all going to be going to more parties. We are going to be tempted by that, it's only once a year type food. So what are your suggestions on how we can kind of indulge but not get that extra 10 pounds by the end of the year?
The two biggest things are, one, eat throughout the day.
If
you're going to, I know, isn't that a good tip?
That's
if
easy.
you're going to a Friday night party, don't skip lunch because you're going to have this great party with things that you love. You're going to be more hungry, you will lose control, and it's not healthy for your body. Even especially our residents, that is not good for anybody, but especially our residents. So we need to eat throughout the day, normal amounts of food, and then go to the party and eat a normal amount of food. And the other thing, when you're at your holiday get-togethers, is when you're surveying your buffet, look at the things that you wouldn't normally make yourself. So I can make mashed potatoes because that's easy for me and I like it. So I don't have as many mashed potatoes, but my mother makes really great deviled eggs. So on Thanksgiving and Christmas, I take a few extra eggs because that's what I love. So don't just take everything you love. Take the things that are more difficult for you to do at home. And the other things, just know, well, I can do that at home later. I don't have to eat that today.
And I also find, for me anyway, I'm not going to go to the store-bought goodies. It's like, but if there's something homemade, then I will definitely more gravitate towards that versus the, store-bought cake or cookies or whatever the case may be.
And eat the things at the party that are good right now, and the homemade cookies, a piece of pie and a brownie. The host will always unload those things as you leave because the host doesn't want those things hanging around her house so she can gain 20 pounds. So she'll give you a piece of pie on your way out, and you can have it on a non-party day when you've done your 30 minutes of exercise.
Oh, I like that idea. And what are some of the, of all the things, can you give me, like if I have a choice between, say, the eggnog, which is a holiday drink, and say something else, could I do the eggnog or should I?
Well, that's a bad example, Diane,
okay.
because the eggnog is just the worst. But
it's only once a year.
But it is once a year, and I love eggnog. So I would rather have a small portion of eggnog than a larger portion of some other treat. I would rather have a small portion because I love it so much, and it only comes around once a year. But there are other things that you can probably assume that if it's sweet, it's really not going to be that healthy for you. So you can level the playing field.
Well, I was reading the other day, one of the worst drinks that you can have, which really shocked me, was a gin and tonic. Does anyone know why? This is,
I don't.
you don't know?
No.
Why do you think a gin and tonic is? It has something like over 400 and some I mean, it's like, I was like, a gin and tonic. Well, it's the tonic water is loaded with sugar. It's like having a soft drink. And they said, so it was better to have that glass of champagne versus a gin and tonic. I mean, a glass of champagne only has like 100 calories versus the gin and tonic, which, like I said, I think it had over 400 calories, and I don't know how many grams of sugar, but I was really shocked when I read that, and I was like, okay, keep that in mind. So, anything else, Cindy?
Just be mindful of your eating and don't skip out on the exercise.
And one thing Juanita left us with, right? She left us with one exercise we can do, which is, what are we going to call this?
She calls it the pushback.
The pushback.
So just push back from the table, she said. Push back from the table. And that'll work your shoulders, your triceps.
It's like a push-up, but on a table or a countertop, or even you can use a chair that's heavy enough to support your body weight.
There you go. Plus, I also think smaller plates, right? If we did a smaller plate versus these humongous plates that we're faced with all the time, that makes it look like, God, I have a lot of food on my plate, but really you don't have as much as if it was twice as big.
Right. Definitely.
Last word, Sheri.
Get your flu shot and have a wonderful holiday.
There you go, and there you have it. So we're here to keep you healthy, and if you need any more information, you can contact us here at Channel 6 or contact our two guests, and they'd be happy to share with you the information that they were talking about today.